Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
I'm just going to be quite honest with you, dear listeners. I don't have a fun cold open for you all. I'm having a really hard time focusing on anything else because I can't think of anything else other than the the haunting green fingers that are Kermit's grasping and coming out of the animal shell. And here's... I know that this means
no,
nothing.
Continue. I don't want to step on your toes. Please
I know that
speak
this
your
means
truth.
nothing to those listeners that are finding this episode 3 years from now, or from those amazing aliens that are listening to this 1,000 years in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
But I, up until this point, thought The Masked Singer was a joke. Because I'm afraid of masks as much as I'm afraid of birds. And you can go ahead and check that off your bingo board. And I thought that it was a joke until today when someone showed me a video footage and it was the first thing I saw on Twitter. And I can't focus on anything else because Kermit's one of my favorite. Kermit's one of my favorite people because he's really fuckable, to be honest. And
oh my god. And that was, I could have guessed a million ways for that sentence to end before I got to that one particularly.
And I could have never guessed that the first thing that I was going to see this morning was Jenny McCarthy and, please bleep this, Robin Thicke of all people, staring in almost sexual amazement at Kermit coming out. At The Masked Singer.
Of a giant snail.
Is this what you all watch on television?
Here's the thing about The Masked Singer. I think that is... We've talked about this actually more than I think we've ever willingly watched this show,
100%.
this program. But because have been recording this podcast since the show has been on, basically.
I think
and
so.
It used to be like airing literally when we would start recording our podcast.
That's true.
And it would always put Allie in a weird sort of mindset because she'd have to just see trending mask content, which really just does something. But I will say, the Kermit thing brought me a lot of joy. It's not my happy thing, but it is so fucking funny because it makes me think that The Masked Singer has just exorbited all celebrities that want to be on The Masked Singer, which I think is valid, and I love it. But also just the gotcha of a puppet coming out of something that's already not, like, they're expecting a person, and it's not a person, it's Kermit. It's your friend Kermit. Yeah. That, I think, it's camp, I think.
It is, unfortunately. Yeah, which I would have never expected from The Masked Singer. So, folks, that is the most roundabout way of saying welcome to Into the Twilight, which this week is welcome to Into the Camp.
Ooh, yes.
Which, like, for the past couple, since its inception is Into the Camp,
The spirit of Susan Sontag has been present throughout most of our recordings, so...
Absolutely. 100%. Cody, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am transfixed by every photo that comes from the production of this movie starring Lady Gaga and Adam Driver about Gucci.
Yeah.
And everything about it, just, I can't comprehend it. If I look at it too long, I'll just go feral. Like, I can't.
100%.
It's beautiful. When this photo was dropped, I think Lady Gaga was the first one to post it.
Yes.
The internet exploded, rightfully so, because they both look wild, but also incredibly sexy together.
I would have
never
out expected
covered in
this
snow. No, absolutely not. Not in a million years. But listen, we also saw Lady Gaga with Bradley Cooper, so really anything is possible. And I think this is also a lovely coupling. I'm into it. I'm here for it. I was shocked at how into it I was. And now every day we just keep getting more photos. Like today, there was photos of Lady Gaga just feeding Adam Driver like a foot above her a pastry of some sort, just directly into his mouth. And that really just grinds my gears in a very great way.
This is the Lady Gaga effect, right? Yeah. Because I didn't think that I didn't think Bradley Cooper was even remotely attractive until Miss Stephanie, if I dare say.
Yeah.
My cousin, Stephanie.
Yes, Mr. Manata or something.
Until Lady Gaga was near him. And I was like, oh, shit. Maybe I could...
Yeah.
Could I be their third? Oh, shit.
Yes, it could.
And the same fucking thing is happening to Adam Driver as well.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that happened first, right? When My Lovely Person of Color happened, right? With A Marriage Story, right? And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, yes. Right.
Like, this is always what happens. Like, Adam Driver on his own, I'm like, But then you get a woman next to him, I'm like, oh, well, all right.
Yeah. Like, wait. I'm interested.
Yeah, well, maybe.
All right.
But this photo of Adam Driver in this cable knit sweater, and he's... Oh my God.
The glasses, can we talk about the glasses?
And this smirk, it's so like parent in the late 80s to me.
Yeah.
Of just like, hey babe, come here. Like, let's take a photo together. And especially because she is not smiling in this photo at all. No. And somehow that is just even better to me.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I love
that hat. I'm also obsessed with
the bangle, the
amount,
jewelry,
just the sheer amount of chains on Lady Gaga is incredible.
I didn't realize that you could sum up my sexuality into a photo until
this really is the bisexual agenda.
I love it. It makes me very happy. Thank you so much for bringing it to the space.
Absolutely,
it's a very joyous photo here.
I agree. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm just great. It's just great. This is that time of year where we're ending the trimester. And so my lovely students are remembering, unfortunately, and I am also remembering that grades exist.
Yeah.
Which sucks. And so they're like, hey, I just checked my grades for the first time in a couple months, and I don't like them. Fix them, please. And I'm like, I can't do that for you.
Sorry.
And they're like, I don't understand. Like, fix them for me.
Isn't that your job?
And so we're having that fun conversation about, like, help me help you.
Yeah.
And what executive functioning looks like or doesn't look like in 12-year-olds at this time, which is a lovely conversation to have. So it's just I would like to just scream endlessly at this time. But my happy thing this week is something that is profoundly confusing to me. I can only describe it as an Ouroboros. And the more I looked at it, the more that it confused me, but then also just like made me laugh. And so when I first saw this, I was like, oh, cool, generic root beer.
Right.
Because I was like, great, yes. So
we're all familiar.
Yes, we are all familiar with a plastic 2-liter of root beer.
Right.
Which, if you are imagining this in your head as I am describing it, it is often one of those where it is like a root beer flavored root beer. One of those where it's like, if you even go near saying that this is Dr. Pepper, I will kill you.
It's on site.
100%. And then I squinted at this a little bit more, and I realized that I was wrong. That this is in fact a photo where it says root beer flavored vape juice flavored root beer. And I got very got very confused. As someone who does not partake in the vape, and I also do not partake in the root beer.
Right.
I find this very confusing. Of what is this? And so
That's a great question. Because, like, I'm also not a vape head, but I do know that vape juice doesn't... I'm not a vape lord, but I do know that historically vape juice does not come in a 2-liter bottle that you can just buy at a Safeway, you know? Like, it's not something you can just... But also the packaging is very good.
Yes.
Where it's like a little puff of smoke.
Yes.
Or I guess cloud.
Sorry.
Vapor. Sorry.
God, I sound... This is just... How old can we sound?
Kids these days. And they're e-cigarettes. And they're root beer flavored e-cigarettes.
The more that I looked at this, because I also got very confused on this too, because I was like, yeah, sure, the idea of buying vape juice
Right.
in bulk sounds like a great idea, right?
Yeah, right. It seems cost efficient.
It does.
Right? Like, yeah.
Because I'm old, and so that sounded very cost efficient. But then I was like, how the fuck would you pour 2 liters into an e-cigarette?
Yeah.
It ultimately just made me laugh because I was like, oh, I'm very out of touch.
Right.
And I need a child to explain this to me. We have a small amount of current events this week. But the 2 that we do are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Let's start with the bad news first.
Yeah.
This was something that we had shared, I think you shared, on Twitter. And you had also sent this to me. I got this news via text. I had woken up from a nap.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And this was the first thing that I had seen. And I was trying to read this, like, immediately out of a nap. And so it was just, like, everything was hazy. And I was like, oh, what are these words? And all I could see was... I got 3 words out of it. I got E.L. James and then freed. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And I was just like, I immediately went from being in a nap to being in timeout. And I was like, God damn it.
Oh, man.
Aw, beans. So tell me a little bit about this news.
The final installment of the 50 Shades of Grey books from Christian himself are finally all going to be published. The final one in June. It drops in June, so fucking get ready. Which means our dirty business is never
It's never done.
I shared this on Twitter and people were like, you guys, oh, this is a trip. And I was like, no, we for sure have read these. And I was like, oh, we certainly did not read these. We did not read these. I just, in my brain, was like, yeah, you are rid of the sins of E.L. James. At least for the moment, you are good.
I was also fully convinced that we had read these as well.
Yeah.
I thought somehow between reading them from Anna's perspective and also watching the movies, I thought that we had done it all. That we had conquered the beast. And yet, Erica, and I don't think we talk enough about her name being Erica.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have done that enough. But E.L. James has come out with the last of these, and we have to go back in.
Yeah.
So, that's great. I can be bought. I am more than happy to do this. I know that some of you have mentioned that you would somehow rather us read the 50 Shades series from Christian's perspective more than reading the You series.
Right.
Somehow. Maybe it's because there's actually sex in it. Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Apparently you want us to be in Christian's head rather than Joe's, which fair, because Joe is awful.
That's also reasonable.
So I get it. Somehow. I think there is still one more book in You. And then the 3rd season of You. And then we will have all of these books that are out. And so we will be able to conquer this.
Yes, this beast.
And there won't be any more movies in these. So we can just fucking get through them.
Vibe.
We will just be able to vibe. We do have some good news to end on.
Hell
A
yeah.
little bit of a Dakota fashion corner. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome
the space.
back.
On the 1 year anniversary of her infamous lime lie.
Okay, all right, listen.
Which we've already talked so much about, but it is a historic day, so I think it is appropriate.
I don't know. I will leave it up to you to decide if you think that this redeems her actions.
Oh no, this is pretty good. This is good stuff.
Tell us more.
So, Dakota Johnson spotted on set for Am I Okay?, which I guess is the movie that she's working on currently. And she was just hiking in the most delightful rainbow bright cap I've ever
I
seen.
love it so much.
She looks so happy.
She does. She looks very happy in her little
Yeah.
biker shorts, in her pigtails.
In her
I
little
love it.
pigtails. There's also a very good photo of her with a gallon jug of water.
Oh, yeah.
And while holding also a hydro flask in both arms and taking a sip. It's very good.
Yes, it's a mood.
It brings me a lot of joy. That has great meme potential if anyone is interested.
This cap makes me very happy, personally.
Yeah. It's a vibe.
It is a vibe. The only thing that is missing, personally, from this amazing hat is just the little, like, spinners.
Yes.
On the top.
It needs a spinner.
It does need a spinner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, amazing. 10 out of 10. I love it a lot.
Yeah. Huge fan.
Thank you, Dakota, for gracing us.
Always doing the work.
Just always being the best on here.
Yeah.
We have not even a question. Well, it's a comment.
A little thought
Just
experiment.
Someone sharing a thought with us, which, you know what, honestly, I appreciate it.
Yes.
One of our amazing patrons, Sarah, has shared something that they have heard. Here is what they have heard. Just a thought on the street, I would say.
Just something to simmer on.
Yes. It says, so I am listening to this paranormal podcast, and they are talking about vampires, as you do. And in the episode, they call Edward a twonk, meaning a twinkly hunk, or a, oh God, Sarah, a twavonk, meaning a twinkly vampire hunk, and thought it was funny and wanted to share it with y'all.
That is great.
It is.
I do love that a lot.
This is amazing. I think twonk is appropriate
Yes.
for Edward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hunk is generous for Edward.
Hunk is a little, yeah.
If there was a way to mix twink and blushing bride,
Sure. Yeah.
I would give that feedback to this paranormal podcast.
We have some notes.
So if you could send that message in a little dove and pass it back to them, and have them remix those words, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
You can have them make up the word, because that sounds like hard to me.
Yeah.
They can come up with it, and we can give the final notes on that. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds great. So, the last time that we spoke about the host, things were starting to get a little bit spicy.
Buck wild. Yeah.
After
A little hot and heavy.
a little bit hot and heavy, some might say. Yeah. After 200-ish, actually 300 pagers, actually.
Ooh.
Stephanie was like, hey, so it's been about halfway through the book. You've gotten this far. And now I will give you plot.
As a treat.
As a treat.
You've earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've unlocked the plot at this point.
Yes.
Now I will give you smooch. Now I will give you tension at this point.
Yes.
Now I will give you dead, dying old man as a treat on here. Now I will give you Walter talking about Gladys for unknown reasons.
Yeah.
Because, sure.
Why not?
These chapters are sad.
Yeah.
And also, chapter 31 is sad. Chapter 32 is potentially, for some folks, triggering. So we will talk about that as it comes. Chapter 31, though, to me, felt a lot like Stephanie did not get the emotional payoff that she wanted from the end of Eclipse, with Jacob being in his like morphine problems with his broken bones, and the conversation that he had breaking up with Bella. And so she was like, you know what if I make it so that it's an old man and I make it more like The Notebook instead, and it's more about like life and death.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I should write that down as a title.
You should. No. It's all connected, baby.
It is all connected. That is at least what I got from it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's just, for her, it feels like she has had 3 thoughts in her life, and they are all connected, unsurprisingly, right, to Mormonism.
Yeah.
And she was just like, okay, how can I... Listen, I'm not going to drag her too hard because writing is tough.
Yeah.
And so she was like, how can I take these 3 thoughts and stretch them as far as possible so I don't have to come up with new ideas for writing?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to just keep doing remixes on these as many times as I possibly can. Chapter 31 is sad. Personally, as someone who had a grandpa in the past couple of years die from cancer, I was like, Stephanie, this is fucking rude. This is a little too real. Especially just because, like, Stephanie... Hey, Stephanie, what is it with you and translucent skin? And talking about, like, pulsing of blood underneath. What is it? Hey, why? What do you love about that? Tell me more.
Yeah, it's like, even if it's not vampires, I will just spread it across all of my work.
Absolutely.
It's like, what? At least then you had a cop-out, you know?
100%, because it was someone who was, like, actually attracted and, like, could not resist it. And,
right.
But now, it's just an old dying guy. Spoiler alert, folks. The old guy with the cancer, he dies. It was just a lot. I did feel very bad for Wanderer in this moment of just, like, wanting to come down and see what was going on in the hospital area. And now they are just trapped here for 48 hours with someone. And just because they're too afraid of being rude and just being like, I don't feel comfortable in this.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so now I can't get my hand back, and I gotta go piss. Like, I gotta go. This is awkward. So I felt very bad for that whole situation. Rip to Wanda. That was very awkward. Especially because of the fact that it doesn't get easier, in the sense of there's already a very awkward situation of the only thing that is making it easier for Walter in this moment is the, like, placebo effect of Wanderer being there, and the sense that it is his wife of Gladys. Wanderer does not have that power or ability. Walter is just very out of it, especially since he ends up, like, recognizing Wanderer in the morning, and he's just like, hey, it was nice that you came to see me. You should probably get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're here. Which I thought was a little bit funny. But then, of course, because it's Stephanie, and also we're at the middle of the book now, stuff starts to break bad. There's drugs and I actually don't know anything about what happens in Breaking Bad. I just know that there was like blue candy and also cancer, I think. I actually don't know. There was, I think it was Brandt. He starts just like sprinting into the hospital.
Yeah, right.
And he was like, I'm gonna kill Wander. There's a helicopter. Rawr.
It's like, hey, whoa.
This is a little bit drastic, Brandt.
We're kind of in the middle of something right now.
There is like a cinematic Grey's Anatomy moment happening here, Brandt. You need to chill out. And so, of course, there is now the helicopter. So, of course, the usual seeker is like back, circling around, looking for Wander, which is probably, I would imagine, incredibly scary since there is no other sounds happening in the desert, and now there is a helicopter. Sounds probably very loud and scary. So now Brandt is like, rawr, I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna watch out for this parasite who you're in the hospital wing, so there's metal and rope and all these things to get out of here. Whereas Wander, like, hasn't moved in 12 hours, hasn't gone to the bathroom, can't feel their hand, like, has no intention of leaving. Anyways, Brandt can't interpret a scene to save his life, but sure.
No. Read the room. But...
Exactly. Like, cannot interpret that Walter is dying and Wander is, like, here to make this process easier. Right. Can't see that Doc is like using the last of the whiskey to like make this easier on Walter, but sure. Brandt, of course, Wander is going to like kill you and escape. Sure. So Brandt watching Wander, Wander watching Walter, Doc watching Walter. Like everyone is, it's like a standoff that is going on here.
Yeah.
I think eventually the helicopter does leave because it starts to get dark. I think Ian eventually comes back with some sort of food as well. Jamie ends up coming in with like a cot, later comes in with food as well. But the medicine in the form of alcohol that Doc gave obviously does not last because sure. And it also does not help that Walter is obviously struggling too.
Yeah. And not having a great sense of reality and in general.
Is very much makes sense in this moment. Because when Wander needs to like eventually leave to go to the bathroom and he doesn't have someone to like hold on to for reality.
Right.
Starts like crying and screaming. Very understandable things that are going on. Near the end of the chapter, Jared comes and has morphine, which is, he hadn't come later on because he was like going to go find some.
Right.
And
he's on the hunt for medicine. Yeah, because before that they were just like giving him alcohol, right? Like,
yeah.
That was it. And it was just like, sorry, there's no medicine. We're gonna find it, but for now we're just gonna get you drunk.
And they were only using it in like drops. Because they were trying to like make it last as long as possible. Which, thinking about how late stage Walter was at, because I think they had mentioned that like his bones were broken because he had become so frail that I would have to imagine like not only did he have like external injuries, but he would have to have had like internal injuries as well. That he was probably like burning through the alcohol really quickly.
Yeah.
That it was, I would imagine that it was incredibly painful, that he was also like passing out from the pain, I would imagine. And so Doc was like very happy when the morphine came. But because it is Stephanie, right? It cannot just be morphine. It has to be a like symbolic, theoretical conversation here. And so naturally, like, Doc gives Walter some of the morphine so that he can like immediately stop screaming and like reduce some of his pain because he is a doctor or at least like some sort of medical care.
Yeah.
I don't think that we have like seen a like his certificate anywhere.
Yeah.
Wander doesn't really understand the conversation that Jared and Doc are having, because Jared is saying like there's not enough medicine for more than like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So Wander is like very confused about this, but Doc seems to understand. And so it finally clicks when Melanie says it in Wander's head of like, oh, they're talking about an overdose here. So cue Stephanie being like, oh, do you get it? Hey, listener, do you get it? It's about life or death.
Why? Also, what is her deal with using this specific sort of situation as like a poetic metaphor
She really loves
for
it,
like
though.
existing and being alive or being in love or whatever? Like, it's gross and I hate it.
I agree. I felt like it was very... It made a lot of sense to me with pregnancy, given her religion. Because I think that, like... I don't know, I felt like that was more of a, like, natural place. But, and I don't know a lot about LDS.
Yeah.
But I think that I would imagine that this is where, like a doctor-assisted suicide probably is not considered, like, quote, natural or, like, allowed.
Right.
Just because it's not, like... Yeah, it's probably, quote, like, not considered, quote, natural.
Yeah, right.
Like, you can, it's not the way or something. Like, it's not how you are supposed to go or something.
Right. Yeah.
But it's always with morphine. Like, both the books that we have looked at in this circumstance, it's always been morphine. Like, I don't know, does she know that, like, other... Maybe it's just that, like, it's easier for people to usually get at their hands on.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. But this seems to be something that she is, like, really theoretically, like, stuck on, which I find really interesting that, like, I don't know why I find this part really interesting, but I wonder if it's something that has, like, happened to her personally, and, like, why it's something that she is really fixated on, because it's happened in 2 books now that it's, like, it cannot be a coincidence. Of like, why are you, what, Stephanie? Like,
hey,
what is
on.
it about this specific idea that you are really interested in? I find it interesting. But anyways, Wander is like, you can't just kill someone. Like,
Yeah.
And so she's very much struggling with this. When, as it is mentioned in the book, like, Walter is not going to survive this. Like, it is very clear that he is struggling.
Yes.
And I think that, like, Wander has very much observed this over the past, like, it is hard to tell if it has been 12 hours, if it has been 24, because, like, time is fake here. But one of the things that's been pretty clear is that, like, Wander would like a chance to say goodbye
Yeah.
at this point, at least what is going on here. Because I think Doc is set on the fact that, like, keeping him alive at this point is, like, letting him suffer.
Right. Yeah. It's not
Which, I
doing
mean-
a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, and, like, yeah, I think as in my personal experience with this exact situation, like, it is, it is
right.
rough stuff. But that is the kind of where Wander at least has, like, come to this point anymore.
Right.
And then, of course, because this is not Walter's story, this is Wander's story. At the end of this chapter, Jared and Wander make a very, like, longing stare, and then Wander leaves the room. So, just had to, like, remind you all that existed.
Right.
Because, God. Anyways, so Wander, after at least 12 hours, maybe close to a day, but I think it's just been, like, at least 12 hours, has now been able to leave the hospital wing. Has not slept during that time, so we know that, but is now leaving the hospital wing, is delirious, to say the least.
Yeah.
It is now able to, like, tend to their needs, change clothes, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And is able to, like, go get all of that stuff done. It seems like it is like before morning time, like just before dawn, because when all of this stuff is mentioned at the top of chapter 32, everyone seems like they're asleep. Like it's right before breakfast time.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why I'm mentioning this, is because if y'all haven't read this, like that's important, is the fact that like most people are not awake yet. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that. That Wander gets their clothes and then heads to the bathroom. So more bathroom talk from Stephanie.
My favorite.
Yeah. Just heading to those black cave bathrooms. And this is the chapter where there's going to be a confrontation that happens here that I just want to let you all know that there is an attack that happens in here. So if that is stressful,
it's a lot.
For whatever means, especially what has happened currently the past week in the news, just like skip probably 10 or 15 minutes. Whatever you need to do. Because I was not fucking expecting this.
No. It really came out of left field,
It
too.
did.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this. Especially because the bathroom scenes in here, like, at this point I'm expecting Stephanie to talk about the fucking bathroom.
It's like, oh, this is where I can just to zone out for a little bit. This
Exactly.
is just, Steph is doing her bathroom talk. We're just going to vibe out for a little bit. And then,
100%.
trauma.
Right, exactly. It's just like, oh, she's going to talk about that soap and it's going to sting for a little bit. And then, like, it's going to be over and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And apparently not.
Yeah.
Anyways, and even, like, fucking Wander, and I guess I should have known at this point, because Wander was like, I'd gotten used to the bathroom. The blackness of the bathroom didn't bother me anymore. That, like, yeah, most of the time that I had been in these caves, like, it was just dark in here. And, like, there's even a sentence in here where Stephanie literally said, there was never anything lurking under the water's surface, waiting to pull me under. And it's like, okay, Stephanie, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
Jeez.
But she's very much hinting that, like, Wander did not have a lot of time because a lot of people would start to be up soon. But it's very much the point where, like, I'm getting the vibe that it's like 20, maybe 30 minutes before everyone is starting to get up. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how the fuck people wake up here because they live in darkness, but, like, maybe they just have a routine. I don't know.
Sure.
How? I don't know. Whatever. That's always bothered me, but, like, sure. The important thing to know, I guess, is that Wander is, like, done bathing, climbs out to get dressed, and the very important thing that was very confusing to me about all of this is that Wander says that they had left their dry clothes on the rocks, but I do not know if Wander put their clothes on. It is not clear to me.
Yeah, I don't think that's clarified.
Okay, because the whole time that I imagined this thing, I imagined Wander being butt-ass naked.
Just
and,
like...
and I thought that I was the one being a pervert, but there is no mention.
Maybe it's Steph. Maybe Steph is a pervert. For danger and also for nudity.
But, like, Stephanie did not mention that Wander put their clothes on, and now I'm just imagining that if this scene is in the movie, how did they get this in the movie?
Yeah.
Maybe Saoirse Ronan just, like, puts clothes on really quickly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, Wander kicks a stone by accident, and that is where this kind of, like, fucks up stuff really bad. Because Ian comes in. Okay, wait, hold on. I did not read this part. So, okay, this changes everything. So, Wander says, I was just shoving my feet into my scruffy tennis shoes when my turn was up. So, that to me says, like, I have clothes on.
Clothes on.
Oh, okay. That changes.
Unless she's only wearing shoes, and that would be worse than
that would be
any of
so
those
much
scenarios.
Worse. Okay. Oh my god. That makes me feel a lot better.
Like, Steph,
I know. Why no clothes, just you? Like, Stephanie. That would somehow make this so much gross.
Yeah.
So much. Oh. Anyways, okay. So Ian comes in and is like, knock, knock, which, like, hello. And I almost said Saoirse Ronan. Like, no. Wander is like, yo, what's up, Ian? Like, did you sleep well? Here's the fucked up thing. Ian says, Ian's still sleeping. Suddenly, Ian is talking in third person.
Uh-oh.
Which means either Ian has turned into the host, or, which would be creepy enough, or worse, Ian is not Ian. And that's what happens. It's not our beloved Ian. It is, in fact, his fucking brother, Kyle. We never trust a Kyle. No.
Oh, yeah. Lest you learn anything from this experience, never, ever trust a Kyle.
Never trust a Kyle. 100%. I've only known Kyles that betray you. 100%. I have known 2 Kyles in my life. One, I had a crush on. He was in elementary school, and he made me do Ding Dong Ditch in my neighborhood.
Damn.
And biggest regret of my life, that is where my anxiety started 100%. The second Kyle that I knew, I was a freshman in high school, and he was my managing editor on my high school newspaper. I had such a crush on him because he was older and he was an authority figure. Oh, biggest regret.
Man.
I 100% believe that man vapes. Root beer vape. 100%. Don't trust a Kyle. Whatever you do not trust a Kyle. So Kyle here, Cave Kyle, that's not Ian, is a bad Kyle. Don't trust a Kyle.
No.
This Kyle is out for blood of all kinds.
Yeah.
And wants to, in no uncertain terms, kill Wander. And not in a, like, quick and easy way. No. In a, like, very, very, like, James Twilight way.
Yeah.
Like, out for the chase
Right.
way. Gross, Kyle.
Yeah, not a great way to go about this, I think.
100%.
Not one I appreciate.
Like, if you're gonna... Bad Kyle. Bad Kyle. So, especially because he's like, oh, Ian's still sleeping. I'm sure that won't last forever, though, so we'd best get on with this. Like, ew, Kyle. Gross.
Yeah, Kyle.
Ew, Kyle. If you're gonna kill me, Kyle, get it over with. Like,
Yeah.
Don't tease me with, like, don't
Don't try to wine and dine me before you kill me.
100%.
Get it over with.
Don't be a Joe with the foreplay. Just kill me, Kyle.
Yeah,
God.
seriously.
Like, ew. Like, I have wet toes in my shoes, Kyle. Just kill me. God.
I already feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, like, I just bathed myself in water that stung me. Don't. Ew.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. I live in darkness, Kyle. Like, there's nothing you could do that would hurt me. Just kill me, Kyle.
Yeah.
Anyways, there is a lot of this, like, and again, I don't know what this was like for you, because this chapter was a lot of italics.
Yeah.
So, rip, first of all.
Yeah, it was probably one of the more dramatic readings, I feel like, of the audiobook.
I believe
it felt
that.
very impassioned.
I believe that. Especially because of the fact that this was a lot of Wander asking Melanie to take over, which we don't usually get.
Yeah.
I wish that there was a person, when I'm struggling with fight or flight, that I could ask inside my brain to just be like, could you just take over instead?
Hey.
Because I can't.
Yeah, Jesus, take the wheel, please.
Exactly. 100%. Finally, though, Wander is doing a good job of, like, I'm going to take a little rock and I'm going to throw it to the other edge.
Yeah.
And distract Kyle.
Get him off my scent.
Exactly. I'm going to do a good deed here, which is great. It doesn't, unfortunately, work for the Kyle. There is a lot of tussles that happen between these two, unfortunately. Reading this back, it is a lot easier to understand now that I know that Wander is not naked. It makes more sense now that I know
Sure.
that there is clothes involved.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
It does not make it any less traumatic, but it does make more sense to me. Because I was very confused why Stephenie Meyer, of all people, would have a naked tussle.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me, personally. There is eventually, after this, there's a lot of tussling, there's a lot of, like, feet hitting each other, a lot of, like, sprinting, trying to get done, a lot of, like, legs on each other. Like, Wander's doing a pretty good job here, despite, like, part of this fight being in water.
Right.
But unfortunately, like, Kyle is what seems like a much taller, much bulkier person. Things start to get a little bit dicey when it seems to hit what looks and is described like almost like a cliffside of this cave.
Yeah. Like a well-ish?
Yeah.
Almost? Like something like that. Just like a deep crevasse into
Right.
terrible danger.
And it was hard for me to understand because, again, we are in what is supposed to be like all complete blackness in these caves. But eventually there is a part where, like, a piece of the floor comes down and makes Wander fall on Kyle, and then a piece of the floor then, like, hits Kyle. So Kyle is... Rip Kyle.
Rip. Sorry. Bye.
Rip Kyle. And because gravity be like that...
Sure.
Hey, post, Cody, if you could just enter Gravity by John Mayer in here, that would be great.
I will not.
Okay, all right.
Just letting you know that right now.
All right. That's fine.
If anything, I do Sarah Bareilles. I'm not going to put John Mayer
Thank you.
on our airwaves. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I respect our audience too much for that.
Yeah, you know what? That's my bad. And because of said gravity, Kyle and also said cliff start to fall into abyss. There is like steam. We are supposed to assume it is the pits of hell, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a crack
There's lava down there. It's just like,
yeah, I don't know.
literal Satan is down there just hanging out.
Yeah, Satan has, like, unlocked his jaw. He's just there, like, licking his lips, like, ready to go. And this is the part where, of course, because it's Wander's like, oh no, like, I need to save Kyle. And Melanie's like, the fuck you would do? Like, that dude just tried to kill us. Like, no, you don't. Because Melanie is smart. And Melanie is part of the apocalypse, so has this is not, I would assume this is not Melanie's first kill before.
Yeah.
Whereas Wander is like, I don't know about that. And so Wander is like, well, I want to live, but I also don't like to kill people. And so it's this very, like, moral obligation between the two of these people. It seemed like Wander was going to turn back and not save Kyle, because it didn't seem possible to save bulky Kyle without putting both of their lives at risk.
Yeah.
And then the last fucking line of this chapter is Wander screaming for help. And I got a little bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because, like, fuck Kyle.
Yeah.
Fuck
Get out of
Kyle.
here.
You have, like, disobeyed the community guidelines. You don't do a kill.
Everyone agreed that Wander was chill.
Yes.
And you still were like, what if I just killed him?
You don't do a kill, and then the universe is like, ooh, I'm gonna kill ya, and then you get to be saved. That's not, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, the universe made a choice. You get to fall into the lava. No. Nope. Stand by your choice.
Yeah.
I think both the men in these chapters deserve to die for different reasons.
Yes.
One,
But
because
still,
I don't want
yeah.
Walter to suffer. but also because I want Kyle to suffer.
Yeah, fuck Kyle.
Fuck Kyle. Don't trust a Kyle.
No.
Don't trust a Kyle. That is my hard stance. Don't trust a Mike Newton. Don't trust a Kyle. That's my stance.
Yeah.
So next week we have chapters 33 and 34, where I'm imagining that we're going to have to deal with the fallout of Ian being like, my brother, rawr, which is going to be unfortunate, I guess, but whatever. I'm not that worried about it, so
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly double check that we don't have any patrons named Kyle that I have fucked up.
Just for an hour.
And it looks like we are good. Okay, great.
Hell yeah.
We have some amazing patrons
Hell yeah.
that I would love to be able to thank here. Would you like to start us off?
Absolutely. Shout out to Mallory Hardwick. Ooh.
Thank you to Katie Black.
Ow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Shout
and-
out. Oh.
Oh, I was going to say this is the closest that we got. This is the
Oh,
closest
to
one.
Kyle.
Yes.
Thank you to Kylie Minty.
Pew, 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 pew. Not a Kyle.
Ooh, not a Kyle.
Not a Kyle.
Hashtag not a Kyle. You're safe, Kylie.
You are safe. Thin ice, Kylie, but not a
Yeah,
Kyle.
right.
Thank you to Elizabeth James.
Ooh, yeah. Shout out Jess Love.
Thank you to Alex Dornan.
Boing, 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 boing. Shout out Carrie Goldberg. Ooh.
Thank you to Mickey Meyer.
Ow. Yeah. Thank you to Zoe Steele.
Thank you to Rebecca Cullen.
Boing, 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 boing. Shout out Amy Taylor. Boing.
Thank you to Mulch Gray.
Mulch. Shout out Taylor Brown Town Lautner. Boing.
Thank you to Aaron Weber.
Ooh. Yes. Thank you to Gwen Stanley.
Thank you to Jasmine Anastasia.
Ooh. Yeah. Thank you to Bailey Christian.
Thank you to Jay Molina.
Ow.
Ow, ow, ow,
Yeah. Shout out Cassandra Bomer.
Thank you to Toussaint Wander.
Boing, boing, boing. Thank you to Kristen Strider. Ooh.
Thank you to my mom and our mom, Kelly
And
Beck.
everyone's mom.
Everyone's mom.
Ooh. Shout out Aaron Salinger.
Thank you to Sophia Salinger.
Boing, boing. Shout out India Peach. Ooh.
Thank you to Casey Yorkie.
Ow, ow. Yeah. Thank you to Sarah Blythe. Ow.
And last but certainly not least, thank you to Laura Forty.
Hell yeah. Ooh, yeah.
So I have a fan fiction.
Ooh.
I'm putting fan fiction in loose quotation marks today. Because the fan fiction that I was provided today was also given to me in loose quotation marks. Today.
Sure. I love it.
This was sent to me by our unofficial intern, Taylor Brown, Town Lautner.
Shout out.
Shout out. This is I would argue, one of the most infamous pieces of Twilight text that there is.
Ooh.
And if I am not mistaken, I don't think that we have done this piece of text on
I
here.
love that.
I'm going to read the Twilight Oath for us today as our fan fiction.
I love that.
So, dear listeners.
Yeah, I don't think I know this, actually.
You
I think I've
don't.
made it this far where I'm not coming in contact with this.
As I read this to you,
Yeah.
this is an oath. It is a blood binding pact.
Okay. Great.
So as I read this to you, a little drop of blood might spill, and that's okay. It is. Don't be alarmed.
It's part of the process.
It's just
not a cult.
It's not a cult. Don't call your dad, and that's okay. So this is the Twilight Oath. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to pull out a piece of hair. It's okay. Just do you. Just take a deep breath. It'll all be okay. All right, the Twilight Oath. Be serious, folks. This is serious. Don't laugh.
Stop goofing around, all right?
I promise to remember Bella each time I carelessly fall down. And I promise to remember Edward whenever I'm out of town.
Oh, it rhymes?
Everyone shut up. I promise to obey traffic laws for Charlie's sake, of course. And I promise to remember Jacob when my heart fills with remorse. I promise to remember Carlisle when I'm in the emergency room. And I promise to remember Emmett every time there's a large boom. I promise to remember Rose whenever I see something that holds pure beauty. And I promise to remember Alice whenever I'm at a mall and a cute outfit spots me. I promise to remember Nessie when I see that beautiful bronze hair. And I promise to remember Esme when someone tells me they care. I promise to remember Jasper whenever my stomach isn't curled. Yes, I promise to love Twilight wherever I may go, so that all may see my obsession, because I know what the Twilighters know. And yet, there's just an ellipses at the end. Wow. So it doesn't end. The Twilight Oath doesn't end.
Snaps. It's eternal. You were not billing that as poetry, which really, if you get at the heart of it, is what that was.
I mean, honestly, it's a spell, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've actually, everyone here has been cursed.
Like
There's
I said,
a hex
it's an
put upon
oath.
your homes. Yeah, sorry. Wow, what if we start every episode by doing that from now on?
Someone has said that before, as that, like, just having that with our music from Eli, just like a sick beat underneath.
Right. A remix.
Oh my god. So Taylor, thank you for that. I'm glad that we finally made it to doing the Twilight Oath after 213 episodes.
Yeah. Wow.
Listen, we gotta make them wait for it. You gotta really want it.
Yeah,
us.
It's true. It's true. Oh my
So
God.
sweet
Wow.
Christ. If I had told you that it rhymed, you would have been expecting it. And sometimes you just gotta know.
It was a nice surprise. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how else to wrap this up other than that as amazing poetry to really send us off. So
Yeah.
Be good with yourself and with God, as Stephanie would want it.
Right. Get right with the Lord.
Say your Twilight Oath every day.
Yeah.
Call your friends, say the oath to them. Maybe just surprise them with it. Don't even tell them.
Yeah.
Just, maybe send a voice memo with that,
Yeah.
And as we say here in the Pacific Northwest,
Get bit.
and get whipped, honestly.
Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. Our theme music is by Eli Krause, and our artwork is by Maddie Padilla. Follow the show on Twitter at Into the Twilight, and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/intothetwilight. Send us an email or a fanfiction at intothetwilightshow@gmail.com. You can find Allie at Into Wild Places and me at Cody Curl.
You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.